안녕하세요. 저는 Genalyn입니다. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board in this flight to South Korea. Please fasten your seatbelt because we're going to take off. As we in this flight, I want to discuss the communication mode, style, and practices in South Korea. First, the communication. There are two phases in communication, verbal and non-verbal. First, the verbal, indirect communication. The South Korean communication pattern is generally indirect and quite verbose. Has two phases, they tend to rely less on words and are attentive to speaker postures, expression, and tone of voice. To draw meaning, speech can ambiguous as they often understate their point. The purpose of this is to maintain harmony throughout the conversation and present a loss of face on either end of the exchange. The best way to navigate this rhetoric is to find the underlying meaning is to check for clarification several times through open-ended question. Refusal. A South Korean preoccupation with saving face and politeness means that they will seldom give a flat no or negative response even when they don't agree with you. Therefore, focus hints on hesitation, listening to what they say but also paying carefully attention to what they subtly imply. Speech style. While they may be indirect in their communication style, South Koreans generally speak quite firmly and use less gesture and facial expressions. Expect them to give serious replies and retorts. They also tend to ask questions in order to discern their status in comparison to the person they are talking to. This can catch people off guard. For example, how much do you earn or how old are you? Silence. Silence is an important and purposeful tool used in Asian communication. Pausing before giving a response indicates that someone has applied appropriate thought and consideration to the question. It reflects politeness and respect. Louder. Louder is sometimes used in an awkward situation. A Korean may laugh when they feel uncomfortable and not necessarily because what was said was generally funny. Nonverbal. Physical contacts. Koreans are generally not very physically affectionate with one another. However, male friends may touch one another more than Western men, and girls may walk hand in hand. Personal space. Personal space is not guarded very closely in Korea. People generally expect to come into contact with strangers on a busy street and tend not to worry or apologize when personal space is invaded. Pointing. People do not point with their index finger but rather with their entire hands. Beckoning. One beckons by fluttering all fingers to one hand with the palm facing towards the ground. Eye contact. During a discussion or friendly conversation, make eye contact with the person you are talking. Avoid direct eye contact if you are scolded or rebuked by someone older or of a higher status than you. Some Koreans may also avoid eye contact with their superiors on a regular basis. Hands. Use two hands or your right hand alone to offer or receive something. Gesture. It is considered rude to make a fist with your hands while placing the thumb between the middle and index finger. Expressions. Koreans tend to sum across as a quiet state face in conversation. However, their facial expression can immediately expose when they are angry or in disagreement. Smiling, as well as an expression of glee and humor. Smiling can indicate that one is feeling ashamed or embarrassed in Korean culture. For example, a Korean may smile when they make a mistake. Sneezing is considered rude in Korean. It is best to practice to excuse yourself when yourself from the room if you have to. Basic etiquette. In Korea, people rarely thank one another for gesture of courtesy. Example, holding open doors. Nor do they generally apologize if they bump into one another on the street. Respect should always be shown to those that are older than you. Object, gifts, and food should be offered and received with two hands. Remove your hats when indoors. It is best practice to remove your shoes before entering a Korean home. Koreans are reasonably punctual and usually prompt. In basic etiquette in eating, it is considered inappropriate for adults to eat while walking, so street food is often eaten on the spot where it is bought. Food should not be eaten with one finger. Spoons are usually to eat soup, but chopsticks are used for everything else. Do not blow your nose at the dinner table. The oldest person should be served first. Everyone seated should then wait for them to begin eating before doing so. Etiquette in drinking. South Korea has a large drinking culture. Drinking can give status, proving one's stamina and maximum, particularly for men. If you do not want to participate in drinking, try to give a sincere reason such as medical or religious grounds. Avoid emptying your glass if you had enough to drink. Fill other glasses before your own. In a formal setting, do not fill your own drink and instead wait for someone else to return the gesture and fill yours. Also, they practice to not face someone older straight to on when you are drinking. Seniority is respected in Korea, and this does not apply to age but also to the hierarchy within a company. When you are out with your friends or colleagues, the most senior person should be the one pouring the first glass of drink. Keep in mind that afterwards, the youngest of the group will have to take over and refill the empty. When pouring alcohol, especially for the first time, you should use both hands to pour. If you are receiving alcohol, you should also hold your glass with both hands. Do's and don'ts. Those. Laugh with Korean whenever possible as they enjoy sharing humor. Make an effort to compliment what you like about Korean. This may help in giving you a face discern who is superior to you based on age, position, and family name. And show respect to each person as necessarily. Be aware of how you fit in the social hierarchy. Expect a Korean to be modest and subtly deny any compliments to give them. Be sensitive to the hardship South Koreans have endured and sympathize about the situation in North Korea. Don't. Avoid drawing parallels between the Korean culture or language to Japan. Avoid exhibiting anger or distress in heated displays or outbursts of emotion. Doing so may cause you to lose face. Do not underestimate their knowledge and intelligence, as the Korean population is very culturally educated and politically aware. Thank you everyone. I hope you learned something. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We have just landed at South Korean Airport. Welcome to South Korea. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this trip and lesson, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on board in the near future. Have a nice day.